Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
You have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
I will never forget that first time I walked into the Buffalo Bills team meeting room in early November of 1986 upon being appointed in mid-season to take over as head coach. Sitting in that room were a young Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Bruce Smith, Kent Hull and Darrell Talley were there, great leaders.
Andre Reed shared the second spot for the longest teammate tandem in all of sports history. One day you will be at this podium accepting this great honor.
You know, Warren Moore, I've been knowing for a long time. My uncle Andre Reed, got Reeds in here. We got two Reeds in here, man.
Andre Reed. '12 plus 83 equaled 664 receptions and 65 touchdowns. What more can I say? He is truly the best.
All right, with that, I'd like to welcome everybody here in front of us to another installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series, connected by Extreme Networks. Our mission here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the greatest of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence together. All of which we're going to be talking about today, including our 5 important values that we believe in a lot here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and those are commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty, all of which made everybody in here a great student, makes me a great employee, and it's going to make the gentleman who's sitting in this seat a great Hall of Famer and man off the field as well. As always, my name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth Education and Leadership Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and super excited to be up here and have the opportunity to speak to all of you today, as well as our special guests. And before we bring our special guest, our Hall of Famer, Mr. Andre Reed, up here, I do have some thank yous I'd like to pass out. And I know we got some staff members in here from our great partners at Extreme Networks. We want to thank them for everything that they do for us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You know, without their support, all of these students sitting here today and anybody who's impacted by this program would not have the opportunity to do that. So thank you for all their support. Any teacher, administrator, principal, coach who brought their students here today, we want to thank you for allowing us to be a small part of your students' learning experience. And lastly, we have to thank the students. If you guys weren't here, this would just be me and a Hall of Famer sitting up here talking to each other and that would not be fun. But to have all you guys here, that would be great. And we are super excited for you to get this opportunity today. We have a lot of high schools, a lot of great schools with us today. I'm going to read them off. We've got Garfield CLC, Malvern, South, Theodore Roosevelt, Cuyahoga Falls, Norwalk, East, Fairless High School, Maple Heights, Entrepreneurship Prep School, North Royalton, and Early College at Lehman. We are super excited to have all of your schools here today. Throughout the program, we are going to be taking questions from our students in. A lot of the students were selected ahead of time, although those students are sitting in the back and they have a card and they're going to read those questions off to our special guest today. If you do have a question and you don't have a card, find a member from the Pro Football Hall of Fame staff, tell them your question, and we might be able to make it a part of the program. No matter if you get asked a question today or not, we know you're going to be taking some photos. So whether you took photos out in the museum, you're taking photos here today, now we do want you to keep your phones away. But if you're taking photos after, make sure you're sharing those on social media. Tag at ProFootballHOF and at Extreme Networks, and use the hashtag HOF values in your post. Just might be reshared. That's enough of me talking. So now I am proud to welcome a guy who had 13,198 receiving yards, a 7-time Pro Bowler with 88 total touchdowns, who played 16 NFL seasons. But most importantly, he's a Hall of Famer. Let's give a big round of applause to Andre Reed. Welcome, man. How are you?
How are you?
I'm doing well.
He said he didn't like to be around me.
No, you just took it the wrong way.
First of all, how's everybody doing? Right, that's what I'm talking about.
So super excited to have you back here in Canton.
Yeah,
Here as part of the residency program. We'll get into that
Wait
a little
before
bit later.
we start, I get it.
Since you kissed your bus, we'll go that direction.
Okay.
One of the questions we always like to ask is, you've probably have been here before you were a Hall of Famer. What's the difference of walking into this museum as NFL legend Andre Reed versus Pro Football Hall of Famer Andre Reed?
I live in San Diego, and I feel like that's my house, that's my home. But every time I step into Canton, as soon as I step into the airport, I really feel like I have another house to go to. This is the greatest house on the planet, besides the house up there. Every time I come here, it's the same feeling, but it's a different feeling. Because I remember 10 years ago, this is my 10-year anniversary this year, what it was like to be here and be enshrined. And it was a special time, special people. And the Hall of Fame is like a family to me now. Every guy that wears one of these jackets and is a Hall of Famer, that's like my brother. And that's the way I feel about it every time I come here. So it's always great to come back here and to see everybody, the staff. 10 years goes fast. It's a lot of fun, man.
Awesome.
Feels special.
We're always excited to have you back in Canton and cannot wait to see what you do this week. For those of you that don't know, Andre's here as part of the Hall of Fame's residency program. So he's going to spend a couple days here doing some stuff in the community, doing some stuff here at the Hall of Fame. Part of what we want to do in Canton is give back to all the people who are here in Northeast Ohio. So Andre's going to leave an impact on a lot of people this week, and this is the start of it. So we're super excited for you to be here. Kind of diving into what we want to talk about today is, we talk about those values we mentioned at the beginning: commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
Yeah.
Out of those 5, is there's one that is more important to you or stood out in your career, or are they all kind of working together to make, you the best person you can be?
I think all of them work together, but if you're not committed, none of them work. Especially all these high school kids. Who wants to go to college? Everybody wants to go to college, right? It isn't just say, I want to go to college. There's a process. And it starts when you're a little kid. Just like to be a Hall of Famer in anything, you got to start at the bottom and you got to work your way up. You listen to some of the other Hall of Famers that were up here and they said hard work. This is a world right now. If you don't work at it, you ain't getting anything. You're not going to get jack. I'm telling you right now, it's not just going to come to you. You got to apply yourself. You got to use your resources. It's so important. Your teachers, all your mentors, your mom and dad, your friends, their friends, everybody's got to be a part of your life. If you want to get somewhere, it just isn't going to happen. You got to put the work in, and you got to be committed. And I think commitment for a Hall of Famer is every day, 24 hours a day, to a certain point, you got to be committed. Everybody that has this jacket was committed. And everybody did their work, because they just don't give this to anybody. This is earned. And that's in life. Life, you got to earn it.
There are 378 Hall of Famers.
Yep.
To kind of put in perspective, since we were talking a little bit about this, what it means is there's been over 300 million people that played a game at all levels, from Pee Wee to the NFL, 5 million in college, and just about 30,000 individuals have been paid to play, coach, officiate, administer the game of professional football. And there's only 378 guys that have that gold jacket right there. So it is an honor to have that jacket. You are one of the best, and not only on the field, but off the field as well. And you talk about those values and how they impacted your life, but how did they impact it, in the game of football? You talk about being committed and striving to be the best, but how did that help you in a Thursday practice in January in Buffalo, when we know that there's probably 12 to 15 inches of snow on the ground? How did those values get you through some of the times you struggled actually in your NFL career?
That's a great question, Jake, because the pressures of life are hard enough. But when you have a group of guys around you that are in the same boat with you, you kind of got the same captain, things are a little bit easier. You can go within yourself and make it hard, but when you have the right people around you, you can do anything you want to do. And I did. I had the right guys around me at the right time, and they made me better every single day. And if I failed on them, I failed them. And sometimes that happened, but they believed in me that much that, you're gonna lose in life. We all take L's. How many people took L's in life? So nobody took an L here. Hardly anybody took. Everybody raised it. Put your hand up, because you're gonna take some L's. It's how you come back from that L. Every L has a dub. Every dub has an L. So that's just life. But I had the right people around me.
Awesome. Well, we mentioned part of today's program is, we're going to hear questions from the students today. I got a bunch, so if they don't have any, I've got a bunch ready to roll.
I'm sure you do.
But we're going to go ahead and head to the back here for our first question. So what you do is you're going to step up to the microphone. You're going to state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Cooper. I'm from North Royalton High School. My question is, how did you take the lessons you learned from playing football and apply them to your own life?
Wow, we can be here all day on that one there, Chief. I was growing up as a little kid. We all were little, real little at one time. The values that you're taught at home kind of stick with you the rest of your life. And, of respect and honesty, integrity, all the things that the Hall of Fame stands for, those values were taught to me as a little kid through my parents. And sometimes you didn't want to hear it. Who don't want to listen to their parents? You don't want to listen to your parents all the time. But your parents mean well. And they want to teach you the things that got them to where they are. That's just the progression of it. And I was fortunate enough to have two parents that taught me that life ain't a breeze. It's not a breeze at all. Every time you step out the door, you got a choice to make. You make a good choice, you get a good result. Bad choice, bad result.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that question. Can you talk a little bit about, you talk about your parents? Obviously, I know we probably have some coaches in the room as well. Can you talk about how important that, these students in here might not know it, but how important are the teachers in their lives, the coaches in their life? And can you talk a little bit about maybe some of those people who had an impact on your life? And are you still close with a lot of those people today?
Yeah, you're a lot of things that you get taught at home, in the classroom, your teachers, and they teach it a little bit differently. And you got to be able to balance that. Your parents are always going to teach you a little bit differently than somebody else because they're your parents and they're going to be a little bit harder on you. But that's just the way how life is. Coach Marv Levy, who's a Hall of Famer, not only was my coach, but he's kind of like my dad too, in a way. And being a grown person, a grown man, to another grown man. He was like my dad. So it was special. You know, that bond was special. And you develop those bonds over the years of, you know, your coaches and friends and mentors and, you know, people in the community and all that. That really just builds you up. That builds your resume, you know, when you're that age.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, we're going to go back to another question from our students. So again, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Sean, and I go to East High School. And my question is, who influenced you the most in your life, and how or why did that person do it?
Awesome. So we talked a little bit about, you know, your parents and coaches, but who was that person in your life that influenced you?
My dad. My dad was probably you know, he passed away in '96. Quick story, you know, when I got inducted 10 years ago, I wish my dad was here. You know, he wasn't here in Canton. He was up there, but he wasn't here. He was such a major impact on my life because I saw him work hard. I saw him get up at 6 a.m. and, you know, get to the job and pour concrete and do all that stuff just to put food on the table. And that's where I got my work ethic from. You know, we live in a world right now that's, you know, some kids got they're a little bougie. Who's bougie up in here? Anybody bougie?
I don't know what's going to admit it.
Don't want to admit it. Yeah, bougie. But, you know, it was a different time, too. Mm-hmm. So, for my dad's probably where I got that from.
Awesome. All right, thanks for that
Good question.
Whoever's next, go ahead and step up. Again, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
My name's Lucy Schlatter, and I'm from Norwalk High School. My question is, during your enshrinement speech, you had your quarterback, Jim Kelly, come up and throw you one last pass. What does your relationship with him mean today, and how important has he been to your life?
Oh, another good question. Yeah, very important. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for him. You know, Jim has gone through a lot in his life the last 10, 12 years where he had cancer. And he actually, during my enshrinement speech, he wasn't even supposed to be here because he just came off of chemo and he didn't look good. But I remember him telling me, he said, you know what? He said, Dre, I'm not going to miss this for the world. I don't care how sick I am. I'm not going to miss this. And he was there. And he threw a pass to me, the last pass. It was pretty emotional. And today we still talk, definitely. He's still that guy for me. You know, he's kind of like, he was my best friend. Again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So, special guy. Special player, special guy.
Awesome. Thanks for that question. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, just kind of give everybody here a quick backstory on, you know, talk a little bit about, you know, what he went through and, you know, what did you take away? Because, you know, everybody can learn something from, you know, no matter what situations you go through, situations other people go through. What did you learn from watching what you just said was one of your best friends go through something like that?
Fighter. Everybody that has a fighter in their house or in their life that you just think they're down and out, but he keeps coming back. And that was our team. He was the leader of our team. If we're down, that's the guy you go to keep you up. He just was the toughest guy I ever met. And that's just flat out, just a tough guy. Yeah.
How can these students in here take a message like that and kind of instill those same leadership values in their own lives? What are some things students can do to say, you know, kind of step out and say, you know, maybe I want to be a leader? You know, they don't have to go through something like that, obviously, but what are some things, some little things that there's people in this room that might want to say, you know what, I am a leader.
Yeah.
How can I step out and you know, start to lead the people around me?
Well, I mean, you know, they got groups in your high schools and leadership groups and all that. I mean, just step up. There's going to be a time where somebody's going to need your advice and you got to step up to give that advice. Are you going to be able to do that? And that's from going to other people, your mentors and your teachers and all that. Teachers are leaders. Even though you might not like all your teachers, they want you to do good. They want to see you succeed. Sometimes you don't look at it that way in high school. You just go, I don't like that teacher because I don't like him for some reason. But he's looking out for you, or she's looking out for you. You know, that's really the only way I can say it. I didn't like a lot of my teachers, but I knew they meant something to me that's good. Down the road, it was going to bode well for me.
All right, we're going to go to another student question. So go ahead and state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
I'm Jose Velasco. I'm from Norwalk High School. And you were talking about earlier how your teammates are all in the same boat together. And my football season just ended, first week of playoffs. And it's really rough because I wanted another week with those seniors that are leaving. Yeah. So does losing players help push you forward, or does it kind of like make you feel like you're missing something in the end?
I think both. I mean, we all play sports because we want to win. But if you're with a bunch of people for a while, they become like part of your family. You know, you can confide in them. You can talk to them about anything. That's what the game is. The game of football and sports in general, that gives you a sense that something at home doesn't give you. And I felt that all the guys I played with were part of my family. And I could talk to them if something bothered me or whatever. And sometimes you don't reach your goal. I went to 4 Super Bowls and didn't win. Was I supposed to go over here on 77 and play in the freeway because we didn't win? No. It happened, and I couldn't do anything about it. You know, that's just how life is. But it taught me a lot. It taught me to keep going, keep pushing forward, keep doing this, keep doing that. That's one of the values of a Hall of Famer, is you never quit. Quit was not in my vocabulary.
Awesome. Thank you for that question. Looking back on your career, you know, I read some of your stats off there. If everybody here did their homework, you know what kind of player Andre Reed was. What does it mean to you to sit up here knowing that people look at you, historians, statisticians, football junkies, as one of the best pass catchers to ever step on a football field?
It's kind of surreal. And we've talked about this. When I talk to kids, I talk about looking in the audience and there's me back in the corner, 15 years old. And he's just looking at me and I'm looking at him and he's going, what are you doing up there? And I go, well, I'm supposed to be up here, but I was you and you're me. But he wants to know how that happened, all the stuff in between. He wants to know how all this happened. And I would love to get down to the 15-year-old me and tell him how it happened. Because you work pretty hard. That's what you have to do.
Have all this success. You mentioned the Super Bowls. You know, obviously you're going to Pro Bowls, getting named to All Pros, everything like that. How do you remain humble when all that? You know, there's probably some students in here, maybe they get all A's, maybe they're a star on their sports team. How do you remain humble when all those successes and honors start rolling in?
At any time, it can all be gone to a certain point. When you think you're way up here, there's always somebody down here that's trying to take you off the top. I was talking to a football team, and there was a hill in the back of the practice field. And I said to all the kids, I said, you see that hill back there? I said, if there was $1 million up there, how fast would you run to go get that $1 million? Would you just like push everybody out the way and punch people and just get that $1 million? And a lot of them said, yeah, I'd run. I go, why can't you do other things with that kind of attitude? Just because that's $1 million, that doesn't really mean anything. You have that drive. You gotta have the same drive in everything you do if you want to be successful. Yep.
All right, we're gonna take another question from our students in the back. So go ahead and step up, state your name, the school you go to.
My name is Sam Koenig. I'm from Norwalk High School, and my question is, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Ooh, welcome to the NFL. I know, yeah. We were playing the Chicago Bears, and Walter Payton was on the field. Never met. I was a rookie. I was like 21 years old, just turned 21. And I saw Walter on the other end of the field, and he was like an idol of mine, which I had a lot of idols when I was in high school and in college. And to see Walter Payton, iconic, one of the greatest running backs ever to play the game. And I had to go up there and talk to him and introduce myself. And I told him who I am. He says, yeah, I know who you are. I said, how do you know who I was? He goes, I already know. And he said, let me tell you how to stay in this game, how to play this game, how to stay in it, and the rewards you're gonna get if you stay in this game. And I said, work hard. You gotta be able to work through adversity. You're gonna get hurt. All the things he said to me to this day are true. They say if you play this game the way it should be played, you could play a long time. I played almost 17 years. So Walter was right. Flat out.
What's it like to go through that moment and then, like, you got to play a game?
Yeah.
Like, you're awestruck, starstruck, because that's Walter Payton you're looking at in person. You're sharing the field, but then in 45 minutes, you got to go out and play a game. How do you refocus, flip the switch, and get back to that mindset?
I went to a Division II school, so I didn't go to a USC or Notre Dame or a big school. Nobody knew who I was. I was from a little small town, Allentown. I went to Kutztown, little cow tipping school, and I was kind of obscure. And back in 1985, there wasn't a lot of Division II players in the league. So I had extra work to do. I had to do extra work to show that my worth. But I got the shot. I made the best of it. Did I think I was going to be in Canton one day? I wasn't thinking about that. I just wanted to play the game that I loved. And I was blessed to play that long, and now blessed to be in Canton, Ohio, where football was born.
We talked a little bit about the relationships, whether it be with coaches, talk about Jim Kelly, your parents. You come into the NFL as a Division II guy, having to prove yourself. Nobody probably knew where Kutztown University was when you got to Buffalo. But as it continued to grow and as you gained all this success, what was it for you? How did that change your relationships? Did you try to just make football and your relationships didn't change? Yeah. But as success, money comes with success. How did that change, the relationships that you had?
I think as I went on, I had to become more humble. Anybody who knows what humble means, right? That's an easy word. You know what humble means. You get humbled every day, you just don't know it. And I always say, y'all kids got to eat some humble pie sometime. Take a piece of humble pie, eat it, figure it out, because you're going to have to go through that in life. I just had to be more humble, because with success, you get a little more confident, you get a little cocky, we all get cocky. Right here, every time I see this, I'm a little cocky. But I'm humble about it too, because it stands for more than just me, what I did on the field. It stands for me as the person. That's me, the person, not the football player. That's the way I look at it.
To you, Andre Reed, what's the difference between being cocky and being confident?
Some people take it to extremes, yeah. How do you balance being cocky and confident? I think both of them can get you in trouble. Both of them can reap rewards that you want. You got to find that balance. And I think it's the people around you that know how to balance what cocky is and what confidence is.
Love it. Yeah. All right, we're going to go back to the back for another one of our student questions. So go ahead and state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is John. I go to Fairless. And what stadium was the toughest to play in during your NFL career?
What city?
What stadium?
Oh, stadium? There's a couple of them. Pittsburgh was always tough to play in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and Kansas City, because they were so loud. Kansas City's loud. They're a loud stadium. Buffalo, where I played was pretty loud too. Seattle's a loud stadium. Yeah.
What's the loudest game you can ever remember being in?
Loudest game, Seattle. Because it was a dome, but outside, probably Kansas City. Man, it was ridiculous, bro. It was like 4 jet engines were in your face. So loud.
Awesome. All right, we're going to go to another question in the back. So go ahead again, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
I'm Dylan Stevens. I go to Fairless. And my question is, when adversity struck, where did you go to regain your confidence?
Good one. Who hasn't been through adversity? Who has been through it? That's what I want to say. So everybody in here has been through something that they're not used to. That's what adversity is. To a certain point, it's something that you're not used to and how you deal with it. Every day you wake up, you make a choice. Do I want it to be a good day or not? I know it's easy to look at it that way, and then the adversity comes. How do you put all this in a pot and it looks good? And I usually started confiding in a lot of people. If I wasn't feeling down, or especially in sports, adversity, every time you walk in a building, there's adversity in sports. Somebody doesn't want you to do good. Somebody's after you. Some's this, some's that. How you deal with that? And it's all a mind game, really. You know, this thing up here you got, it makes a lot of choices in life. Good ones and bad ones.
Can you take us to a point in your career where you were at that crossroads?
Yeah.
And doesn't matter what decision you made, but what did you learn from that scenario? Whether it, you know, you looking back and, you know, hey, you know, that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, versus, you know what, I made the right call in this moment. You don't have to go into what that is, but what did you learn, you know, standing at that metaphorical crossroads?
Yeah, I missed 11 games in 17 seasons. So I was on the field mostly all the time. And I think it was 1999. I tore my hamstring, tore my groin, basically kind of career ending to a certain point. I wasn't going to be the same player. Man, I had to do a lot of soul searching because I worked so hard to get to where I'm at, and then to have it just that quick. And that's just sports. You know, guys play a long time, or guys play 5 years and they tear their knee up and they're never the same player again. That's just life. Things can go well, and then all of a sudden, ooh, that happens. And how do you decipher it in your mind? That was my moment where I had to really figure things out. I had to work harder to get back to playing again. I came back the next year, had a 1,000-yard season. So really had to dig deep, you know, to get back to where I was.
All right, we're gonna go back to another question from one of our students. So go ahead and step up, state your name, the school you go to,
My
and
name
then
is
go ahead
Zachary.
with your question.
My name is Zachary Pakanowski. I come from North Royalton High School, and my question is: if you could have played with another Hall of Famer of your choice, who would you choose?
Any Hall of Famer?
Any.
Got a lot from that Buffalo team.
Oh, okay, all my boys for sure. Oh man.
Any Hall of Famer, any era.
Ooh, I'd love to play with Jim Brown. Jim Brown would have been awesome to play with. Quick story, I met Jim Brown, I think about 5 years ago. Actually, when I got here at the Hall, I met Jim Brown. And that was like, I mean, Jim Brown's iconic. Anybody know who Jim Brown is? You guys, Cleveland's right down the street here. And then Gail Sayers. Just meeting like childhood friends, childhood guys I looked up to and watched on TV. And now people watch me.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
I like to pivot off that a little bit. For any of you those who don't know, during our enshrinement week, you know, we have 100+ Hall of Famers come back to Canton, you know, to celebrate our new class. And there's a luncheon that takes place that week that only Hall of Famers are allowed to be in. It
used to be in this room.
Yes. Only Hall of Famers are allowed to be in. No staff, no cameras, our president, nobody. It's
flies.
just Hall of Famers. So I want you to talk a little bit we talk about respect, and we know that there's respect given on the field for your opponent. When you walk into that room and there's 100 other Hall of Famers, guys who you looked up to, guys coming in today that looked up to you, what is the level of respect like in that room? And what is one thing you try to do every year? Do you sit with the same guys? Do you try and pick out someone new to talk to every year? What do you do when you walk in that room?
10 years ago when I was in that room, 100 of the greatest players ever with their jackets on, and our class was just sitting there at a table, and we didn't have our jackets yet. We got them the next day. And you can't talk. So basically, you cannot talk in there. All the other Hall of Famers are passing the mic and say what you got to say, and you just sit there and you listen to them. And one thing dawned on me. I said to myself, what am I doing in this room? Like, I'm in this room with Joe Montana, Jim Brown, Jerry Rice, all these other players that have gold jackets. And I'm like, figured, oh, little old me, why am I in this room? And then over here, somebody said, because you're supposed to be in this room. And I didn't realize that till maybe a couple years later. So you sit there, you don't say anything. And to hear these guys talk, about anything. It was just, oh my God, it was just ridiculous.
Tell us
That
the
was
difference between 2014 enshrinement week versus any other enshrinement week
I'm
you
a
coming back
veteran
for.
now. I'm a vet. I go look for the guys. All the guys that come in, the new classes, I talk to them. I go, back in 2014, when I was sitting there like you, yeah. But they love it. They want to hear it. Well, what did you feel? What were you thinking when you were sitting in that room? And these guys, every year, their eyes are so big, great players, but it's like they're little kids again. And that's the beauty of what Enshrinement Week is. It's you go back to when you were a little kid, the first time you put a helmet on, when I was like 8 to the last time you took it off. I was like 37, 38 years old.
Awesome. All right, got another question in the back. Go ahead with your name, your school, and then go ahead with your question.
Hi, my name is Mark Hill. I go to Maple Heights, and I have a question for you. Can you talk about what the Boys and Girls Club has meant to you throughout your life, even during and after your playing career?
Awesome, yeah. Anybody been to Boys and Girls Clubs? Who's a Boys and Girls Club kid?
One little hand. One hand over there.
Let me tell you, out of all the things in life that I cherish the most is my time as a Boys and Girls Club kid. As a young 7, 8, 9-year-old, 6, 7, 8, 9, I was in the club till I was like 16 years old, when I was 6 years old. Because it was a place that I felt safe. It was a place that was taught all the values that what the Hall stands for. I was taught there, and it was taught differently than back at home. And they were so important to me. I'm like a national ambassador for the Boys and Girls Clubs now. Me and Denzel. I've hung out with Denzel Washington. He's a Boys and Girls Club kid. Just a regular guy, but it's Denzel. So you just don't realize like who are Boys and Girls Club kids. Shaq, Jennifer Lopez, all these actors and they all started in clubs. And we have a bond. And that's just the beauty of it. And they taught me so much about life, the Boys and Girls Club, and still today. Good question.
Awesome, thank you for that. All right, we're going to head with our next question. So whoever is our next student, go ahead and step up, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Adonis Kelly from McKinley. My question is, you were great on the field, but what would someone say is the greatest off-field quality?
Ooh, great question. We have talked about a lot of on-field. So what's your greatest off-the-field quality? Great question.
Do I got to brag about myself? I mean, I don't know.
I think you're sitting up here.
You're sitting up here, yeah. There's a lot of them. I'm personable. I'm just a personable person. I mean, I grew up, my dad taught me that, being personable will get you a lot of places and talking to people. And I learned that, from other people. Closed mouths don't get fed. You ever hear that saying? Closed mouths don't get fed. So I love giving back. As a Hall of Famer, you have a platform, and I use that platform as much as I can. Good question.
Awesome. All right, go ahead with our next student. Go ahead and step up, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Nico Helton. I go to Norwalk High School. My question is, what was one moment in your life when your character was tested? How did you get through that?
Moment in your life when your character was tested, and how did you get through it?
A lot of moments. Football-wise, is playing in 4 Super Bowls and not winning. That's what you play the game for. We went back to back to back to back. And it's funny because all the other teams were like, man, we're tired of y'all winning. Getting to the Super Bowl, y'all don't even win. I go, well, beat us then. You haven't beaten us. Until you beat us, then you don't have to say that no more. So we're going to keep doing it until we win one. But you need to beat us to get there. So that was that. Yeah. Good question.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, student, go ahead. Take our next one. Just like everybody else, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead with your question.
My name is Gavin Lepley. I go to Norwalk High School. And my question for you is, how important is it to have a support group around you during a rough patch?
Very important. Very, very important. I think, I just think now our kids are entitled. You guys feel like you're entitled? I know none of y'all gonna say no, but we live in a world where your cell phone is the most important thing. And what's on it is the most important thing. And that cell phone is good and bad. And our kids really, they need to be taught a little bit differently. Cell phone's not gonna do it all the time. Speaking to somebody one-on-one is gonna do it. That's when you see the real person. So I advise you to put the cell phone down every now and again and get in groups and whatever you do in school and speak to people. Because to get that job, you're gonna need to speak. You ain't gonna put the phone up and go. That ain't gonna get you the job. Chat GBT, whatever that thing is, that ain't gonna do it. So yeah, speaking to people.
Awesome, great question. All right, got a few more student questions, so go ahead and step up, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
To Fairless, and is there a player in the game today that you think reminds you of the way you played?
Good question, yeah. Oh man. Today, I don't even know, dude. I got some. I'm on. Phew.
I mean, there is no other Andre Reed.
No,
at this point.
but there's some guys there's some good players. Yeah, definitely. It's different to a certain point because guys don't do what I did a lot. They don't take hits like that like I used to. There was a guy that played in San Diego and I was with the Bears. Keenan Allen was kind of like pretty close. I don't know. Do you think anybody? Who do you think? No, come on.
Just talk a little bit about, obviously the game completely different than when you played.
Yeah.
What excites you about what you see in the game today? Obviously being a wide receiver, it's got to be pretty exciting to watch guys go out there week in and week out and just succeed at such a high level.
Game changes every year. There's different rule changes, and who likes the kickoff rule? The kickoff rule is kind of, who is that? They might as well just put the ball at the 20 or the 30-yard line because I don't know, but it's all about protection. I think the fire about the game is still the same. It's entertaining, and the guys are what make the game entertaining. You got to have a good quarterback to win in this league. Patrick Mahomes and the Herberts and all those guys, the Joe Burrows and Lamars. That's really what the game is all about.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think this is our final student question. So go ahead and step up to the mic, state your name, the school you go to, and then go ahead and ask your question.
My name's Kim Carl. I go to Fairless High School, and you have sponsored a handful of reading rooms across the country, including one in Maston, Ohio. How important is reading for today's youth?
Very important. We take it for granted. If I couldn't, read the playbook, the play is not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do the play. So I grew up in Boys and Girls Clubs. I know how important they were to me in my life. So I started a reading program not only to empower kids, but to tell them how important reading is. Reading is fundamental. Reading is knowledge. Reading is power. It's important to me. And I've been doing it for a long time. So I'll continue to do that. Yep.
Thank you for those students. Thanks for those questions. Got a few more before we wrap up here. I want you to talk. We talked a little upstairs about this before we came down here. Got a new docuseries coming out. Called Bills Mafia. For those of you that don't know, Bills fandom, Bills fans are all called Bills Mafia for how we'll just say
Long before I die.
They're pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what the docuseries is about and why it's important to you to put this thing together?
We got some pretty good people. A couple producers from Hollywood that came through that are going to be involved with this project, this docuseries, that we're going to chronicleize what the Bills Mafia is about, Bills fans, what they mean to the city, how they go about their days every day, and what they mean to the football team. And it's really just a docuseries about giving them their flowers and how important they are to the city and the team.
Have you ever jumped through a table?
Yes, I have jumped through a table already. Yeah. Out of a tree.
Out of a tree?
Out of a tree, yeah. Of
They
that?
want to know, is it on video?
I think it's on somewhere. You got to go on YouTube and see it. Yeah.
Talk about, the city of Buffalo. Played, we'll say, 98% of your career in Buffalo.
Mhm.
What is it about the city? What is it about the fans that just, we talk about, the Bills Mafia. What is it about that group of fans?
They love their team, man. It's really all they have to a certain point. They are just the meat and potatoes behind what the city's about. And they wake up Monday and they go to work and get ready for Sunday and do it all over again. And they're just good fans. They'll give you the shirt off their back.
What did you like most about putting that red and royal blue helmet on every Sunday throughout your career?
You just know that they got your back, and they're going to be there regardless. Even through the bad times, they were in the cold and snow and rain and sleet and hail. Y'all get that here in Cleveland area, don't you?
Yeah.
Get that here.
Sometimes all in one day.
Is it going to happen tomorrow? Because
I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow.
Hopefully
no.
it don't happen tomorrow. Yeah.
Few more before we wrap up here. Talked a lot about your career. I want to focus on what it was like to be a Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
You find out you're going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Who's the first person that reached out to you, or who's the first phone call that you made once you found out you were going to be a member of the Hall of Fame?
Well, Joe Horgan was the first person that called me. And the first person I called was my mother, for sure. So my mom actually knew before I did because it was a tape delay. No, I knew before she did. And they used to go to a local bar, and there was 300 people in there every enshrinement or every time they were going to announce it for 7 years in a row. And that my eighth year, it finally happened. And I can hear them all the way from Pennsylvania in New York.
Obviously they do a little bit different now. Now Hall of Famers get to go to the new class's house, knock on the door, welcome to Canton. If you were to be inducted right now, two-part question. Who do you want to knock on your door? And if you could pick anybody that's not in this building yet, or maybe they are a Hall of Famer, whose door would you go knock on?
Ooh, there's a lot of receivers that need to get in here. I'd take a whole week out and go to Hines Ward's door, go to Reggie Wayne's door, Torrey Holt's door. I mean, all these guys have been waiting for a while. We got Andre Johnson in last year. What a great dude he is. What was the other part of that question again?
Who you want if you were being
my
inducted,
door?
who's coming to your front door?
Who's coming to my front door? That's a good question. I probably have God come to my front door. I think he would cover the whole bases. Yeah.
One last question before we get to our final one. All these accolades, honors, besides being a member of the Hall of Fame, the All Pros, the Pro Bowls, all of that, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment?
Probably my kids. I have a 30 and a 28-year-old that live in New York, and they're my pride and joy. They're a reflection of me. And looking at them, I know I've done a good job of what being a parent is. So probably my two kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got one final question, but before we say that, I want to thank everybody who came here today, came to the Hall of Fame. We want to appreciate you being part of this program. Andre, thank you so much for giving me time out of your busy schedule. We know you're just starting it, but you got a busy couple of days ahead of you.
Yeah.
Final question is, we talked about so much today, but if everybody in here, anybody who watches this down the road, if they can take away one piece of advice, one key idea, what is that one piece of advice or thing you want everybody to leave here with today?
We're just all people. We just all want to do things in life. We all want to be successful. It's just getting that right formula to being successful. And for all you high school kids, there's so much pressure on you. Who feels pressure like every day? Like pressure, right? There's a pressure for your grades. There's a pressure from your parents. Your friends are pressuring you. Everybody pressure you. How do you deal with pressure? How do you deal with it? Because every day you're going to have it. And you got to be able to deal with it. So, again, around the right people is probably the key. They're going to be around people that care about you. They want you to do well. If you hang around thugs, what's going to make you? A thug. Right. You hang around an electrician, you might become one. So hang around the right people that got your best interests at hand.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up this installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series, connected by Extreme Networks. Let's give Andre Reed a big round of applause.